Hi, I'm Tracy Sofra and welcome to the Women of Wealth podcast, dedicated to helping women achieve financial independence in every area of her life. Okay, so let's talk about joint bank accounts with your partner. Should you open a joint bank account? Okay, so picture this. You're at the start of a relationship and everything is going really, really well. Love is in the air. Okay, right? Sounds all fluffy and lovely. Well, maybe. Should you mix love with money is a big question these days that, quite frankly, was never asked in my generation, but it is quite topical and very, very different, from, as I say, back in my day. Let's talk about a simple first step that you that you can either do that will go well or maybe not go well. Let's look at opening a joint bank account in terms of pros and cons and just simply have a bit of a chat around that. I'm going to share with you personal experiences myself as well. Look, there's many aspects that are incredibly emotionally charged, if you like, in a relationship, and opening a bank account is one of those. They're quite exciting. It kind of signifies a unity moving forward. It signifies a commitment, does it not? It's a feel-good, and let's talk about it from those sort of perspectives. But before you make that big change, I want you to consider a few things, and I want to look at the pros and I want to look at the cons. And when I'm talking through these pros and cons, I want you to think about how that makes you feel or how it would impact your personal situation, because it's not the same for everyone. Not every individual is the same. Not every relationship is the same. And, literally the way we're brought up and what we're expected to believe of what money should look like in a relationship has a major impact in the outcome and the way that we feel about it. But if we were looking at the pros, liquidity is one of them, isn't it? Because when you open up a joint account, you're getting more liquidity from having a shared stack of cash. There's more money, is there not? There's a lot of power there's a lot of power in having two people on board with two lots of income. It's way more powerful than one, on a sole income. I know that through working with thousands of women who have found themselves on their own after being in long-term relationships. So, the power of having dual income and combining that through a joint bank account is very, very powerful, without a doubt. Also, the growth of the portfolio. So depending on what you're doing with that cash, whether it's in a term deposit or whether you're investing it or, whatever you're doing with it, it can grow your financial portfolio more significantly than you would if you were doing it individually on an individual basis, without a doubt. It also allows you to have better money conversations, does it not? Because all of a sudden you're going to have to consult each other. You're going to have those money discussions. So having a joint bank account actually invites more conversation around money, without a doubt, and it allows for opportunities to manage money together and work as a team when it comes to your finances. And talking about money can lead to better spending habits and planning for the future. It can also lead to really unearthing the financial DNA that I talk about all the time, because we do come from different families. We do. It's rare that two people come together with a similar financial DNA. It does happen though. And what you're going to find is having those conversations around what you should do with money. What does that lead to? That leads to having the conversation around the values, your values versus his values. Are you meeting eye to eye? Are you a saver and he's a spender? Are you both committed to the long term? All of these conversations will arise as a result of joining your funds together via a bank account. Now, that could either make or break the relationship, to be quite honest, but it's a fantastic opportunity to see where you sit on all of those playing fields. Are they leveled up? Is there a major difference between yourself and your partner? It's a really important one to have and understand early in the piece, without a doubt. I think, I probably should have looked at the stats, but money and financial strain is one of the biggest contributors to divorce and people separating, without a doubt. So money stress is massive and it's on the top of the list. So you really want to be sure that your money values align and your money behaviours align, and that's working in favour for both of you. But the cons, what are the cons? Well, you can feel less independent. And this was huge for me personally. Opening a joint bank account can make you feel less independent. Constantly discussing finances with your spouse or your partner may make one of you feel like your independence is being compromised. If you've got to constantly justify, and this will, like, if your money values aren't aligning and you're feeling like you constantly have to justify your spending because you can see each other's transactions and what is going on, that can be a cause of friction, without a doubt. And irresponsible spending, again, it comes back to the money values piece, doesn't it? It really depends on whether that's aligned and how that's playing out in your money behaviour through your joint bank account, right? Also, if one person doesn't have a good relationship with money, again, financial DNA and how you're valuing money, and their bad habits or their poor money management can put a strain on the relationship. And this is what I'm talking about. Having joint bank accounts is probably, I'm pausing here, I know, it's not one of my favourites. I've never had a joint bank account with my husband. I don't have joint bank accounts. I have my own bank account. I work in the business, obviously. My business pays me and, whatever profit share I take. And my husband has his own bank account, and we take responsibility for certain aspects of the family, expenses, who pays for groceries, who pays for ongoing bills and how that is managed. But in terms of having a bank account, it's liberating to have your own bank account without worrying about what anybody else is going to think. And that doesn't mean that, you go off frivolously doing whatever you want and not coming back to a central point of meeting together on a values basis of what should be happening with the money in the relationship. You do have a responsibility to each other to make sure that the long-term goal is congruent with each other. What is the long-term goal? What do you want to achieve with your money? But the day-to-day, the ongoing bits and bobs here should not be scrutinised and you should not be made to feel like you're under the microscope or, I shouldn't do that because of this. And I feel like the long-term goal of the partnership and what you're trying to achieve is the most important and overarching thing. So whether you have a joint bank account that you both put into from your personal bank accounts to achieve those long-term goals, that's probably a better way to go, rather than having a joint bank account that you're all living out of, and you've gone and got sushi that day and he ate a sandwich from home. I don't know, I'm just making it up as I go. And how does that feel? And should you have been so extravagant while he was taking the sandwich? Should you really be sweating that small stuff? I'm guessing no. I think from a long-term point of view, having that long-term goal, having the money conversations are incredibly powerful to have. Understanding that you're on the same page when it comes to how you value the money and what the intention is of the money, but the day-to-day should probably be left to your own devices on an individual basis. So having a joint long-term goal account, yes. Day-to-day, probably not the easiest thing to do. But, one of the other cons is debt and credit. Let's assume one person in the relationship is drowning in credit card debt. How do you manage that? And they have a lower credit rating, and it can negatively impact the other person's financial standing. So what do you do in that scenario? What would you do? Well, I guess what would be important in that scenario is that that person pays down their credit card debt and gets their stuff together prior to going down the pathway of a joint bank account, and then both of your credit ratings are impacted and both of your financial standings are impacted, and therefore that could have long-term consequences for any decisions that you make down the track if you want to buy a home or whatever else that you want to do as a couple. And it can be a huge problem when you're going to apply for joint loans. So that really needs to be considered, and that could impact the long-term financial, strength of the relationship and what you want to achieve. So you really need to be thinking about those things. It's sort of like, what did someone say once? I can't even remember. It's, the financial hardship of going into a relationship and taking on the other person's negative financial standing, if you like. So there needs to be some really strong conversations around that, a strong strategy around that to get that other person aligned and, free of credit card debt, having a bit of a savings plan to pay that off, whatever that may be, and obviously clearing their negative credit rating before you jump in together and then it impacts the other person. So, it can lead to messiness, if you like, and messy situations, and sometimes it can lead to messy breakups where one of the couple actually walks away and leaves the other one high and dry. So be very mindful about opening up joint bank accounts, how it can affect your credit rating, how it can affect your independence, how it can affect the long-term goals of the relationship, and really probably understanding where you sit first and foremost before you go down that pathway. Do the values questionnaire that we do through our WOW programs, understanding your financial DNA and where you come from when it comes to money, how that's going to impact your money behaviour, how that's going to play out in the relationship. And it sounds all heavy, but it's really, really important to consider. So probably start from there before you jump in and just open a joint bank account without thinking twice. Just see where you're both at before you take that leap, making sure that you're not adversely affecting the long-term financial standing of the relationship, because you certainly don't want to be making decisions that can negatively impact what you want to achieve in the long term. And so that means, coming clean with your financial DNA, coming clean with, oh, by the way, I got this credit card debt and, I didn't pay back a few loans on time and I might have a negative credit rating. Well, let's clear the decks first before we sort of move on. But it's important to come clean and be honest and open with each other before you go down that pathway. So, navigating a relationship and finances can be complex. I guess the most important thing to say about that, the word complex all of a sudden feels really heavy and everyone's like, oh no, should we be doing this at all? If you're serious about the relationship and it is a long-term relationship and you want to go down this pathway, be open and honest. Look at our programs and do the financial DNA questionnaires and unearth your money past and find out exactly where you stand. It will not only help you, it will also help the long-term relationship and help you come out the other end in a way more stable and strong position. So yes, it is complex, but it's important to be open and honest right from the start. And opening a joint bank account is a really big step forward in your relationship and your finances. It's not that simple. So don't just jump in and go to the bank and say, oh, we want to open up a joint bank account. Make sure you both bring your current financial position to the table. And sometimes it's really helpful, not sometimes, most of the time, it's really helpful to have an outside perspective that can guide you in making the best decisions for yourself and your partner. So if you need a little bit more insight to see if a joint bank account is right for you, then make sure to book a call with one of our financial strategists. We are here to help you navigate making decisions that align with your long-term goals and protect you financially. That really is the aim, isn't it? How do you do that? You go to wowwomen.com.au and go to the link where all of our programs are listed. And best of all, that strategy call with one of our financial strategists is free. If you found today's episode helpful, please make sure to share it with a friend, share a review with us if you like, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And until next time, take control of your wealth and your future.